Hello, hello, welcome to Quackalope, and today we're standing in the convention center of GenCon in Indianapolis, Indiana, moments before the doors open and a flood of people come into this room. I've already been here for 2 days. Today's Saturday morning, and I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle it. For GenCon 2019, the largest gaming convention and one of the largest conventions in North America. So, if you're ready to come along for the ride, if you're ready to see some cool games, see some interesting people, and watch as mobs descend upon this convention center, I'm excited to take you along. Let's go. Now, this is actually the second year I've been to GenCon. I was here last year. I spent 3 days basically sitting around the Kingdom Death booth talking to people in a community that I really wanted to be and felt like I was a part of. This year will be a little different. This year I'm going to be interviewing Poots and talking with him, but I'm also partnering up and working with a lot of the creators that I've been able to connect with over the last few months. So Steve Jackson Games and Tasting Minstrel Games and Skybound, they all have new projects and games that they're displaying for the first time here at GenCon. And so I'll get a chance to look at them, talk with the designers and the creators, make some really interesting content to bring home to the audience. And this video will be similar to what I did at Origins, a vlog-style conversation, a journey through kind of the weekend experience. So I said I've been here one time before, and that was last year when really the only game I was aware of and massively obsessed with was Kingdom Death. GenCon's the only exhibit, the only convention that Kingdom Death does every year, and so last year I started my day around 3 a.m., first in line, trying to get as many or all of the exclusive models that I could get my hands on. Today's gonna be one of the most packed big days that we've had yet. So Thursday morning, I was kind of getting my bearings, walking around the convention hall, meeting with all the publishers and designers and creators that I'd been able to connect with in the past. People that I've been talking with, emailing with, just sort of reaching out and shaking those hands again. Friday was packed and chaotic, and I spent the majority of it trying to get as many interviews as I could with a variety of different publishers. Those same people that I was touching base with on Thursday. And today it's going to be so crowded I don't even want to walk around the halls with my camera backpack and my tripods strapped to my back. Instead, I'm actually going to go set those down in my hotel room and walk around with a single camera, capturing as much B-roll and just pretty footage of this event space as I can. Let's talk quickly about what's so exciting about this con. First off, if you look at all the space behind me here, GenCon is the largest convention, largest gaming convention in North America. I believe one of the largest gaming conventions in the world. And outside of gaming specifically, it's one of the largest conventions, period. This entire space across the weekend will be packed full of people. In fact, outside of the doors right now, there are, somewhere in the hundreds of thousands of people descending upon Indianapolis for a weekend of exclusives and gaming and picking up and meeting people that, they admire, from game designers to publishers, and connecting with friends and family and communities that we don't always get to be around. We don't always get to be tied to. This is one of the best examples of why gaming is special, why it's something that I value, why I wanted to be a part of this industry and wanted to strike up these conversations. I was here last year, and it was packed and overwhelmed, and I didn't quite know how to handle the experience. So hopefully this video will walk you through that experience a little bit easier than the one I had last year. Last year I was here on my own for the Kingdom Death booth almost exclusively, and I squeezed my way through the hallways and didn't really know what games were happening, didn't really know what was going on. I'll do my very best to display GenCon in all of its glory, so that if you end up coming next year or 2 years from now or 5 years from now, whenever you're able to, you'll have a sense of what to expect. But the reality is, for a convention like this, for something like GenCon, something this massive, this central to the industry, you never really know what to expect until you're here. And all I'm going to be able to do is give you a brief overview, my perspective, however limited and nuanced that is, into what this is all about. So it's Saturday morning, and there's one glaring issue in my coverage that I can already see and acknowledge. And that's that I haven't left this space. I haven't left the convention hall. In fact, I've been here from 8 a.m., 2 hours before the doors open, all the way to 6 p.m. for the 2 days that I've been here already. This space is incredible and has some of the games that I've been itching and excited to see, and that's primarily what I cover. But I mean, there's True Dungeon, there's one of the world's largest gaming libraries, there's little rooms off to the side with brand new games, Kickstarter games, prototypes, meetings going on with product developers and accountants and just the whole plethora of people that work in this industry. This is where, here in North America, all of that settles and collects. GenCon is the largest gaming convention in North America, and in fact, one of the largest conventions in North America. A few years ago, it had something like 60,000 people descend upon Indianapolis for 4 days of gaming in whatever gaming community you're in, whether that's, whether that's classic family games, old role-playing games, D&D, live-action role-playing, tabletop war games, miniature game, party games. There's just about everything you could imagine. I mean, if it's a game and it exists with any prominence, the odds of it being here at GenCon are fairly high. And if it isn't here at GenCon, because space is limited and spots take time to get, the odds of someone involved in or connected with that game are pretty high that they'll be here as well. So first thing Thursday, for me, this is just gonna kind of be a Gen-Con must or tradition. No matter what else I'm doing, I have to be here in line at Kingdom Death so that I can get a few of the limited runs and go and buy stuff before the line extends for 6.5 hours and people wait in it because the game's kind of incredible. So we are in line to buy stuff. I'm gonna then drop stuff back off in my car and actually get to work. But there's not even a chance that I'll be able to begin to cover everything that's happening here at GenCon. I won't even be able to see it all. I won't even be able to see everything that's happening in this room. I've maybe walked about 1/3 of the convention purposefully, right? Booth by booth, trying to take a look at exactly what's going on here. But beyond that, I've got 2/3 and only 2 days left, and the odds of me getting out of here, being able to experience much of this beyond the main hall here, are limited. And that's one of the cool things about GenCon. It's this weird combination of perpetually overwhelming, entirely non-stop. It's the biggest thing that you could come across when it comes to board gaming, but it's also exhausting. So it is early morning Friday, and today is when all the interview starts, right? So I showed you some of the convention space yesterday. I showed you the crowds running in. I stood in line to make sure I got my Kingdom Death models and touched base with a lot of the publishers and game creators and designers that I know from Origins and just working online. Today is when the real chaos for me starts. This morning we're having an interview with Steve Jackson Games, then we're going over to Gatekeeper, we're going over to Chip Theory. Tomorrow morning I'm going to be sitting down with Poots for about an hour, the creator of Kingdom Death, just going over his game, talking about the things that are coming out over the next 4 to 5 years. So today is where, I really kick it into high gear. I carry this backpack with me for, the next 6 or 7 hours and get as much content as I can to compile down into some sort of self-contained video for you, the audience, my friends. I do have to say, it's only Friday morning, and it could be the travel, it could be the trip, but GenCon already feels more overwhelming than Origins or WashingCon or a lot of the other conventions or work that I've done in the past. GenCon's massive. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad massive, and it's not bad overwhelming, it's just a whole different game. You not only have crowds and crowds of people, but there's a different type of energy. Origins was a little bit more of a family meeting, right? It was a gathering of a tight little community, and we all seemed to know each other. We've been emailing and talking. GenCon's a whole different ballpark. You have this energy or this movement around where retailers are pushing and selling and launching, and this is the date they've been working towards for the last year, since the last GenCon. They'll leave here talking about what they can do better next year. You have crowds of people, a large percentage of which use a significant amount of their hobby or travel or vacation bubble and time in order to come spend this weekend gaming with us, right? And so it's taken very seriously. It doesn't stop. We have crowds of people out at all times of the night. We're getting like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, playing as much as we can, standing in line waiting for those exclusive releases or those collectible miniatures or models or whatever you're into. Along with that, I haven't even been able to start to explore everything else that's happening this weekend. I've only spent time in the main convention hall, and even there, I haven't been able to get through the majority of the booths, not even probably a third of them. And still, there's so much else going on. There's live auctions, there's LARPing, there's active game rooms and demos, there's brand new games that are coming to Kickstarter or being prototyped that they're testing out in all of these different gaming halls. There's the world's largest gaming library. There's True Dungeon, which is this, you know, there's True Dungeon, which is this live action D&D style adventure that you can go on. There's a lot. You're walking day after day, standing in line, trying to see the games that you want to play, trying to meet the artists and creators and designers. If you're coming here by yourself, or if this is your first year, if you're coming here by yourself and this is your first year, be prepared to miss events, have some lines take longer than you'd expect them to, and probably wander around lost and confused for at least a percentage of your time. That being said, there's a few other things that you can expect. If you find your community, the community of gamers that play similar games to you, you can expect it to be a coalition of all the people that you might have interacted with across North America, whether it was on Reddit or Facebook or in some of your active communities. You can probably guarantee that you'll see some games that you hadn't experienced before. You'll get a chance to sit down and explore some titles that maybe you've only kickstarted, or maybe that are coming down in the future. So you'll be able to demo some prototypes. And above all, you'll leave exhausted and sore and beat up and probably with a slightly lighter wallet. But hopefully, if you do it right, if you're open to experience, if you're open to just finding and reaching out to the community here, you'll also leave excited or with a new view on what our community's like. For a lot of us, we don't see this all the time. For a lot of us, we don't see this even within a year. That your hobby, the thing that you enjoy, is something that all of these people enjoy in some form as well. It reminds you that when you can go home, you can find people to play with. You can look for a community to connect with, and that community may be smaller. I traveled down here from Washington, D.C. with about 5 or 6 of my friends up there. And they're the ones that I play with as often as I can. And I'm coming here to a convention hall with 60 or 70,000 people. I mean, that's just full of opportunity. So I'm just kind of walking through the con. We're an hour before close. Today is Friday, and I've spent the majority of today just touching base with all of the publishers and creators and all of the makers of the games that I play, I love, that I'm featuring on my channel, or that I've partnered with down the road, or that I'm currently working with. I've been able to interview a lot of them, get them in front of the camera, but that also means that I haven't vlogged quite as much as maybe I should have. As you can tell, it is crowded and packed. It's kind of hard to like weed your way through here. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't run over anyone. I've been carrying this backpack all day, so you know, a good 25 pounds just strapped to me. But I'll leave this evening thinking of all the stuff that I could have done, or maybe should have done. And you'll probably be watching this video thinking to yourself, oh, I wish he captured this moment. Like for instance, a good example. After I'd put all the cameras away last night, I walked back into the convention hall and I saw this stack of cards, right, that had been building for the entire scene. And there was a crowd of people all gathered around the outside of it because they were about to chuck coins into it and knock everything down. I would have loved to have that moment on slow motion, but I wasn't aware of it until I just kind of showed up and came across it at just the right moment. I have to run back to the exhibit hall almost immediately so that I can get in there and show the closing and the breaking down, the big cheer at the very end when all of the exhibitors realize the show's done, it's time to pack up, it's time to go home, and it's been a really good week. So let's go check that out. Whatever the case, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end here, I'd just ask that you please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what your favorite convention experience is, whether that's GenCon or other smaller conventions that you go to. And let me know which ones those are. Whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you next time. Thank you.